coming up later in the show, but we begin with the red-hot Cleveland Guardians.
You called it.
Oh, ye of little faith. Many of you jumped off the bandwagon.
We were close.
We were close. I was thinking about jumping off the bandwagon.
The seatbelt was off. The hands were on the walls.
And I said, okay, 12-game stretch against the 4 worst teams in baseball. You got to win 9 or 10.
Yep. I said 7 or 8, and they're on pace for yours.
They're well on their way to at least, I mean, it's going to be 7. It's already 7. They've won 6 in a row, 7 of 8 during the stretch against bad teams. And yesterday was very un-Guardians-like of a way to win. Gavin Williams, terrible.
Yeah.
Couldn't even get out of the second inning. They blew opportunities early with runners on base. In fact, in the second inning, they had the bases loaded, nobody out, and didn't score.
That's very Guardians-like.
That is, yeah. Also, bunting in that situation with Halpin, which I hated, but okay, whatever, But they rallied back. They scored 3 in the, I can't remember now what inning it was, the fourth or the third?
3 in the fourth.
3 in the fourth, 2 more in the fifth to tie. Then the Angels went right back in front on a second home run by Vaughn Grissom. Marquise Grissom's son, by the way, for those who...
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be, he was like the jewel of the Chris Sale trade. He was supposed to be the Red Sox second baseman.
Big prospect, yeah. And he's finally having a serviceable season now.
I had no idea that was Marquise Grissom's kid.
Yeah. And then the Angels went back up ahead 6-5. In the 8th inning, Jose Ramirez, and this is a theme, comes through with the big hit to tie the game, 6-6. Neither team scores in the 9th. Guardians come up in the top of the 10th. Obviously, the man on second to lead off the inning. Yep. Stephen Kwan, another theme of the night, gets his 5th hit of the game.
It's crazy.
6th time on base. I think it's his 2nd time getting 5 hits in a game. Look at that. Look at the batting average. He's actually got his OPS
over 700
to almost average, which for a singles hitter is hard to do when you're that bad.
Mike had remember Mike's Fence Riders question?
Yeah.
That we both got
Kwan
wrong?
or Manzardo?
Kwan or Manzardo, who'd have the higher OPS.
God, we
both said
both way off on
Manzardo.
that. Yeah.
And now Manzardo's in AAA.
I thought they'd both get hot, but only Kwan. Well, Manzardo hasn't had the opportunity, really. But anyway, Kwan gets a base hit, so it's 1st and 3rd. They get Bazana out. It's 1st and 3rd, 1 out in the top of the 10th, and Jose, who's starting to look more like himself, and they're going to need it down the stretch, goes opposite field, double in the gap. Stephen Kwan flying around the bases, scores from first. Jose, bang play at second is safe, although it didn't matter because they didn't score any more runs that inning. 8-6. They go to Cade Smith in the bottom of the 10th. He allowed 1 base runner. I don't remember now if it was a walk or a hit. I think it was a walk, but I can't remember.
In the 10th?
In the 10th, yeah.
Yeah, he walked the guy.
Yeah, he walked the guy. But that was it.
Yeah.
The Guardians win. One thing I left out was that, why do I feel like Mike just showed it or I'm making this up? The Angel Martinez catch?
That was in the 8th.
Right. Did you just show it on the screen?
It was in the montage, yes.
Oh, it was in the montage. Okay, I was like, yeah.
We can't show the highlight, but
we can't show the highlight.
He robbed Mike Trout of a home run.
Go back and watch it because it was
incredible
a hell of a catch.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it would have been a home run.
No, it was definitely a home run.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think he was, the height made you think it was going to be a home run, but he was enough in front of the fence. I don't know. It would either been a home run or it would have been a extra base hit off the top of the wall, something like that. Either way, it was a great catch by Martinez. And Jason, don't look now, but the Guardians are back above 500. They're what? I think 2.5 games out of 2.5, 3 in the loss column. White Sox won yesterday also. They are holding the 3rd wild card. Now, there's a million teams in that mix, so it's far from a short thing. But they needed to take care of business. They took 2 out of 3 from the Giants. They swept the Rockies. They've taken the first 2 against the Angels. They have the second easiest, even with those games behind them, they have the second easiest strength of schedule the remainder of the season. Only the Mariners have an easier schedule. They play, I think, 1 series with the White Sox, and I believe 1 series with the Red Sox late in the season. The White Sox series is at home. I think it's right after that Orioles series on the screen.
13th through the 16th, I think Mike said.
Yeah, something like, it's 13th to the 16th?
Yeah.
The Angels stink. The Royals stink. The Blue Jays are not playing good baseball. The Tigers have fallen back off the way. They are not winning the division. They're finished. The Orioles stink. There's no reason why the Guardians shouldn't at least make the playoffs. at this point, if not win the division.
Win the division. I said that yesterday. There's too many teams fighting for that third spot. It sounds weird because they're sitting in the third wild card. I still think the division is the best path, is maybe the easiest path at 2.5 back, especially with 3 head-to-head games remaining with the White Sox, rather than trying to go Game of Thrones style with 3, 4, 5 teams fighting for that third wild card. Plus, there's so many advantages, obviously, to winning the division.
Yeah.
Go win the division. You're 2.5 back. I think they're 3 back in the loss column.
Yeah.
I don't know. Has it been determined? It may not be determined who has the tiebreaker with the White Sox.
It's based on head-to-head. Mike, if you can look
left.
up the Guardians versus White Sox head-to-head, obviously it could change because there's 3 games left.
I think because those 3 games left, it probably hasn't been decided yet.
No, but
maybe.
It will play a factor if we can see it. But, I mean, either way, obviously you'd rather than win the division. Because if you win the division, you get home. You might get a bye because the American League West is terrible also.
Yep.
The division winner has a chance to be the 2 seed.
The White Sox lead the regular season series 6-4 right now.
Okay, so the Guardians have to sweep them.
They got to sweep. Yep.
They have to sweep them, or otherwise the White Sox will have the tiebreaker.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, that's correct.
Because even if they take 2 out of 3,
games.
yes.
Yep.
So they have to sweep them. So, and if you don't sweep them, you don't have the tiebreaker and you're probably further behind. But if you sweep them, you're in great shape.
Yeah.
But either way, even if they do end up getting the 6th seed, Jason, the good news is that even at the 6th seed, you're only going to have to play the 3 best teams in the American League are definitely the Rays, the Yankees, and the Red Sox.
Yes.
The Guardians are if they make the playoffs, are probably going to be either the 2, 3, or the 6th seed.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're probably not going to catch the Red Sox.
No, they're not.
Unlikely. If they are the 2, the 3, or the 6, now the 2 is the best because you get a bye and home field in the next round. But any of those 3 spots, you will only have to play one of those other 3 teams to get to the World Series.
Yeah, I guess that's correct.
Because
Jason didn't die, for anyone who just saw Bull on camera. He just had a brain fart pause moment where he just did not speak for a second. You were on camera as Jason didn't say anything while he was thinking.
Oh.
You couldn't tell. People may have thought Jason died for a second. Jason didn't die.
Jeez.
It's okay. Jason's alive. He was just thinking.
I was just trying to run the numbers real quick in my head.
No, we just happened to take the montage as soon as Bull stopped talking,
okay.
and then Jason. It just looked like everyone froze.
Oh, really?
The show's going on.
We're not frozen.
We're all
not
good.
Frozen.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I needed a minute.
So even if they're the 6th seed, right?
Yeah.
If you're the 6th seed, you play the 3.
You're right.
The 3 will be whoever wins the West.
Because 1 and 2 get buys, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5.
And then if you win, they don't reseed, unlike in football.
Yeah.
Like in football, if you were the 6, you'd play the Rays.
Right.
But in baseball, it doesn't work that way. So if you're the 6, you play the 2, which would be the White Sox, even if you don't win the division.
Right.
So no matter where if they just make
That's
the
a great
playoffs.
point. I didn't think about it. That's a great point.
Now, you'd rather be the 2 because you'd rather get the
Home
bye,
field.
or at least the 3 because you get the home field in that first round.
Yep.
But either way, you will only have to play one of the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Rays, who are clearly the 3 best teams.
Wow.
And I think clearly the toughest matchup for the Guardians would be the Yankees because A, the history, and B, they have the best pitching to match up with the Guardians, in my opinion. Best starting pitching.
Yeah, I don't think they're a good match with the Rays either at all. I think the Rays are a bad matchup for them.
No, but at least the Rays don't have that. There is something to it's the Yankees.
Yeah.
There's something to it, especially with young teams.
There's a mystique to it.
And the Rays don't have that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little, and it's not, you're not going to have the same advantage in Tampa home field that you would at
New
Yankee
York.
Stadium.
Sure.
So those are little things. So if I had to choose, I'd rather play the Rays than the Yankees. But yes, it's also a tough matchup because they've got good pitching too. But whatever, it doesn't matter. First goal, make the playoffs. Obviously, you want to win the division, and I think it's all right there for them.
Great to see Jose look like Jose last night. I don't think this is a he's back moment. I think this is just one of those years for him with the hamate bone and whatever else. But great to see him deliver in the clutch and look like Jose again.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was 5-0 when I turned the game on.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is over.
Yeah.
And then had it on in the background. Look up, it's 5-3.
Yeah.
And I gave up and went to bed when it went to extra innings. But
yeah.
Great win for them. Great comeback. We talked about Adele yesterday and what he's meant to this lineup. I think we're going to get into him again a little bit later on.
This hour,
He's just been he was, I think, the acquisition I was most excited to see, and he's lived up to it.
Yeah. I'll wait for those apologies for people who told me it was not a good acquisition. I'm sure they'll be coming soon.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Mike. You want to say something?
Well, it was an awesome win. I think when you look back, if the Guardians end up going on a run, we could come back and, there's not one win that flips the script on a season, but that was a win that was very anti-Guardians, down 5-0 early. Gavin Williams, who I want to ask a question about in a second, got shelled, was hanging breaking balls, finding the fat part of the plate, and the Angels were making him pay to claw their way back to get the contributions from Kwan, from Jose, even Bazzano with a big RBI in the game. Rocchio had an RBI, like all those guys contributing. I think this will be a win we kind of look back on if they go on a run here and say, yeah, they were hot, but that was the one that kind of catapulted them into that playoff push. But on Gavin Williams, Bull, he has been so up and down at times this year, and following in the footsteps of Parker Messick, who has been the most consistent starting pitcher, not in baseball, but in the Guardians organization.
One of the most
for
consistent in baseball,
most of baseball, but there's a couple guys out there. Why is it, do you think, that Gavin Williams had such a hard time being as consistently dominant as we know he can be? He had that stretch where he had the 4 straight games with 11 plus strikeouts, was basically unhittable, and then he has days like yesterday where it just isn't the same Gavin Williams we've become accustomed to. What do you think?
I wish I had a great answer for it. It's really hard to explain. There is no excuse for him having an ERA that's 4, essentially 4.
Yeah,
he's too talented a pitcher. But here's the difference, and I don't know why this is, but when Parker Messick, and I'll just talk about this year because obviously Parker Messick's only been around a year, roughly, a little year and change. When Parker Messick doesn't have his best stuff, and you could tell he's had games where he hasn't been as sharp, but he can grind through and hold the team like where he doesn't. He hasn't gotten blown up like Gavin Williams did yesterday once.
Yeah,
not once the entire season. I think the most runs he's given up in a game is 4.
That's incredible.
And it wasn't like a 1 inning for, whereas Gavin Williams, I feel like it is true. He has 1 or 2 starts like this, maybe not quite this bad, where it's an inning and a third or whatever. But he has, I'd say he averages about 3 blow-up starts every 2 months, which is 9 or 10 over a season.
And that's how you wind up with an ERA.
And that's how you wind up, because his good starts are so... He's so extreme.
Yeah. When
he doesn't have his best stuff, he just doesn't seem to be able to grind through it enough. And yesterday, against the Angels, they stink. They stink. And for him to allow 7 base, you face 11 batters or 12 batters, whatever you faced, and only to get 4 outs. And even when he stinks, he strikes guys out. So it's so weird. Maybe he was tipping pitchers or something yesterday. I don't know what was happening, but
1 home run, right? He gave up 1 home run.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Grisham.
So I don't know. I don't have a great explanation for it either.
I wish I did.
He has all the tools.
Yeah.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle for him to put it all together consistently.
Yeah.
It felt about a month, 6 weeks ago, like he was taking off.
Oh, no, he had 2 home runs. Christian Moore also hit his first home run of the season. That was off
Grissom and Moore.
Gavin. I thought that was off the guy that came in after him, Festa, but it was off Gavin.
So he has had a problem in the past with tipping.
Yeah.
I don't know that necessarily that happened. If it happens again, if he gives up 2 homers in his next start, yeah, I think it's something you look at. But it's just been frustrating with him because for all the talent that he has and all the potential and all the ceiling that is in there, there's too many nights like yesterday. And like I said, about a month, 6 weeks ago, it felt like he had turned the corner on that, and he was really sort of emerging into a dominant number 1 starter. And he's still very, very good.
Right.
But you just feel like there's another level there if he can just find the consistency to avoid. Every pitcher's going to have bad nights. His just seem to come a little bit more too frequently than they should.
He's had, where Messick has had 0 blow-up starts, I want to say he's had 6 or 7, something like that. I could be off by 1.
What do you consider a blow-up start? I'll look it up.
Well, a quality start is 6 innings, 3 earned runs.
Yeah, but I consider a blow-up start 5 or more runs or 4 runs in less than 5 innings. Or even if he gives up 3 runs but only pitches 2 innings, something like that.
More runs than innings pitched.
More, well, yeah.
But he has 2 in his last 3 starts. He had a blow-up start against San Diego.
Yeah, that was
5
terrible.
runs in 4 innings. Obviously, 5 runs and 1 in the third last night.
Yeah.
Against Milwaukee back in June, 7 runs in 5 innings.
That's
Would you call that a blow-up start?
Yep.
Yeah.
He had 2 games in early May of 5 runs in 6 innings. Not sure that's truly a blow-up.
That's 5.
Toronto in April, 6 and 6.
Yeah, that's 6.
And that's
So
all the
6.
blow-up starts, yeah.
All right. So, yeah. That's what I'm saying. He's had 6 in, 4 months and change. So
it's about 1 a month.
Yeah,
he's
a little
averaging.
over 1 a month. Like he's gonna, and he might end up, like if he finishes, you got to limit the damage when you don't have your best stuff. That's why Parker Messick, when he doesn't have his best stuff, he limits the damage.
I think Messick's their game 1 starter if they make the playoffs.
No doubt about it.
And I mean, a month ago I would have said it's Gavin. It's not even close.
Yeah. Can you imagine at the beginning of the season if I would have said to you, Parker Messick is game 1 in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I would have laughed at myself.
They got to get there. Obviously, we got a long
Certainly.
way to go.
But you got to feel much better right now. And I know a lot of people say, "Who cares? It's against bad teams." Well, that's who you're playing. What do you want me to tell you?
That's where you make your hay.
Yeah.
Against bad teams. Go 500 against the good teams and beat up on the bad. That's how you make the playoffs.
That's it. That's what you got to do. And we'll see about those White Sox. They might be getting a little tight right now. All right. You know what's tight? Fans' attitudes about the Browns. The fans are as down on the Browns organization right now as they've been in forever. That's coming up next on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.